Peter Shumlin was right there to witness that exchange Monday afternoon, and he chairs the Democratic Governors Association and joins me now. Governor Shumlin, thank you very much for being with us today. You were, I think, amused by the outbreak of partisanship right there on the doorstep of the White House. Did that reflect the conversations that took place behind doors with the president and the other governors?
Not at all. I think the only area where we disagree with the Republicans governors all weekend was on minimum wage. We want to raise it. They don't, as does the president. But listen, the NGA is a nonpartisan organization, and the difference between governors and Congress folks is we've actually got to make decisions, get things done. We agreed unanimously on our efforts to try and keep the Pentagon from cutting the National Guard at a time when governors need them more than ever. We agreed on ways to reduce the cost of health care across the country to grow jobs and economic opportunities. We agreed on the challenge of opiate addiction. So there was a lot of agreement, and that one conversation was the only partisan exchange I heard all weekend.
Speaking of opiate addiction, you made heroin addiction and the growing crisis of heroin abuse one of the key factors in your State of the State address. I want to ask you about that. What is going on in Vermont, and how do you think the nation needs to address this problem?
Well, Andrea, you know, we're all facing this, all 50 states. And, you know, to put it very, as bluntly as I can, when the FDA approved OxyContin and other opiates in pill form, we started handing out opiates, as my friend Governor Bentley from Alabama, a Republican conservative governor, said this weekend, you know, with what I call irrational exuberance, what he calls a lack of enough constraint. And that, what we have to understand is that when you take OxyContin and other opiates, right now on the streets, once you become addicted, it costs more to buy OxyContin in Vermont on the streets than it does heroin. So what we're finding, and I think what so many states are finding, is heroin addiction, opiate addiction is becoming a real challenge. We've always sort of faced it as a nation as a law enforcement problem all alone, leaving it to them to fix it, the law enforcement judiciary. And I think what we're all accepting on a bipartisan basis, and there was a lot of consensus among governors about this weekend, is we've got to deal with this as the health care crisis that it is, treat it as a disease, and try to get people into recovery so that we can reduce crime, reduce the number of addicts out there, and really start to deal with this in a much more comprehensive way.
How frustrating is it to you that we in the media, everyone, when there's a tragedy such as the death of this remarkable actor, we all focus on it then, but then we kind of drop the issue and leave it up to you and the states to try to deal with it on a daily basis? You know, what do you think we as a nation need to do?
I think we need to speak out about it and start to really deal with it as the healthcare crisis that it is. And, you know, when we think about someone like Philip Seymour Hoffman, you know, that's someone that we all revere, extraordinarily talented man. We see someone that we care about, that we love, and he's gone. And our common humanity says, you know, what could have we done to help him? I think when many of us think about heroin addicts or, frankly, opiate addicts, we don't necessarily bring the same compassion as we do to someone that we know. What we have to understand about opiate addiction is that it knows no partisan lines. It knows no income lines, rich, poor, middle class. It's getting too many. And if we can bring the same compassion, the same common humanity to all the folks that are addicted out there, we can find better ways to treat it as a disease, get these folks into recovery, get them back into the job market, stop them from ripping us off so they can feed their habits, have a safer state, certainly safer country, and really give these folks the same kind of humanity that we would have given to Philip Seymour Hoffman had we could have.
And I was just wondering about another issue, an unrelated issue, but there's a big decision in Arizona that Governor Brewer, Republican Governor Brewer, of course, is going to have to face before Saturday, and that's whether to sign or veto this unprecedented law which would permit businesses to discriminate against gays and lesbians by not serving them. Now, it's hard to figure out, you know, how they would determine whom to serve and whom not to serve. But did you have any conversation with her or with the other governors at your meetings about this?
You know, I spoke with Governor Brewer over the weekend. I didn't speak with her about this, but listen, she should veto that bill, plain and simple. She's got state senators who voted for it, who are asking her to veto it now that they realize what they've done. Listen, the Republican Party will continue to lose elections if they continue to alienate gays and lesbians, women, young voters, immigrants, the folks that they seem to constantly not embrace. And, you know, we are one country. I happen to be the governor that sponsored, as a state Senate president, the first marriage equality bill in the country that passed marriage equality just because it was the right thing to do, not because judges told us to do it. When we invented civil unions here in Vermont 12, 13 years ago, you know, folks thought we were crazy. Let's be honest about this. Now 17 states have embraced marriage equality with very little fanfare in the last few states that did it. Listen, this is the wave of the future, letting folks love each other, commitment to each other for a lifetime because they care about each other is going to be the standard for marriage in this country. And if Arizona lets that law go into place, they're going to alienate hundreds and hundreds, thousands of Arizona folks who are working hard in that state to create jobs, as well as the other states will look at them and say, you know, what's going on in Arizona? So I think the days of discrimination are over, and I really hope that Governor Brewer does the right thing.
Thank you so much. Vermont leading the way. Governor Shumlin, thanks. Very good to see you today.
Thanks for having me, Andrea.